go. What? Oh, I put them on backwards. Oh well. There, that's better. Okay, gotta go. Welcome to Blender Frenzy. I am Justin, as always, and today we are going to be changing pants with magic in the similar style as to Zach King. Now, if you don't know who Zach King is, type his name in YouTube and behold the magic that will appear or disappear in front of your eyes. But now, for this video, before we get to editing, let's talk about how to film this effect. So you're going to need a couple things. First, you're going to need clear tape. I used regular clear Scotch tape. You'll need sticky labels for marking your feet. I used circular coloring coating labels. Oh, say that 5 times fast. Then I had pajama pants and extra pants. You can use whatever pants or clothing that you want. And then preferably something decent to wear underneath. And for this, I chose to wear long shorts. So after you've got everything, pick a good spot to stand and film, preferably a place with a lot of light. Place your camera in a good location to frame your shot. Now position your body so all of it fits into the screen, and then pivot yourself away from the camera at a slight angle so you're not facing directly at it. This is so we can see the pajamas flying out behind you easier. Now after you've framed yourself correctly within the shot, mark the floor with the clear tape roughly where your toes are going to be. Now this doesn't have to be exact, it's just to line you up for the initial position. Now it's time to test your acting skills. Do a little skit, a little dance, or whatever routine you have planned, and then walk up roughly to where you put your clear tape and line up your toes. And now you can take your pants or your shirt or whatever clothing you decided to use for this, and then flap it onto yourself like you're trying to force it onto your body. I did this 3 or 4 times just in case I needed some options to help blend the shot together. Okay, now after you're happy with your performance, keep the camera rolling or recording. I guess not many cameras roll these days, so recording. But do not move your feet. This is very important. So now you want to grab your sticky labels, and hopefully you've placed them nearby or have them on hand since you can't move your feet. Now stick them onto the floor, one in front of your big toe, one in front of your pinky toe, and then one on either side of your heel. And do this for both feet. This should help frame your feet into the position on the floor. And if you have a friend, you can see if they're willing to help assist you in this process, like I did. Once the markers are all placed, you can now move freely to switch your pants. Hopefully wearing something decent underneath, especially if you have a friend. Poor friend. Next, after you've done the whole switcheroo, put your feet back into place by lining your toes and your heels up with the markers you put down. Then when you have everything lined up nice and good, remove the markers without moving your feet. Very important, don't move your feet. That's why we put the markers there in the first place. And then finally, with the camera still recording, hold the pajama pants behind you and perform the pretend follow through, flicking them back with your arms. You have now successfully changed your pants in style with magic, with movie magic, not real magic. Now, of course, I added a twist, literally added a twist, and put the pants on backwards, making it look like it was a mistake. Then, to give the illusion of twisting them around my body, I just did the twisting motion, and then I just repeated the process. I marked the position of my feet, then I took off my pants and put them back on correctly, lined up my feet again with the markers, removed the markers, and then performed the twisting motion again so that I can blend it together. I actually did this a few times afterwards so that I could have a couple different shots to blend together if I needed to. Okay, so that is how you film it. Now let's bring the footage into Blender and start editing. Okay, so open up Blender, come up here to add workspace, go to video editing and then video editing. I don't like this browser over here. You can keep it open if you want, but I'm going to change it by hovering my mouse over the top left corner where you have the plus. If I click and drag to the left, you can see this arrow and then release, then it collapses into the other one. When I hover my mouse down over here, Shift A, add in a movie, go to my footage, and open up my footage. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press home while hovering my mouse over here, scroll out just a little bit so we can have this whole thing here. I'm going to press G and then Y on the keyboard, just going to bring that up just a few there, so we have a little bit more room to work with. If I press and hold my middle mouse, I can drag or pan the view here. And the first thing we want to do is make a proxy. And that's just so that our video is going to go a little bit faster. I'm just going to select the movie strip here, then come over here to our proxy and cache tab. Down here, we're going to select strip proxy and time code. I'm going to do 25%. You can choose whichever one you want. You can kind of scroll up and down here if you can't see all of the options. And then I'm going to select record run here, time code index, and then set selected strip proxies to 25%. I'm just going to match what I have here, say OK. And then I'm going to go to a proxy custom directory. You don't have to do this, but I like to keep all my proxies in one place. So click on the directory and then navigate to your proxy directory and then hit accept. And now with your video strip selected, you can come here to rebuild proxies, timecode indices. Click that. And then down here, you have this percentage status showing how long it's going to take. And that looks like it's going to take 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So I will be back after it's finished. All right, it's done rendering that proxy. I'm going to go ahead and save this now so that I don't lose that. And then I'm going to just save another iteration so that I have something to fall back onto. Okay, so I'm going to bring my playhead over. You can move your playhead, by the way, by clicking up here. So I'm going to move my playhead all the way to the end here, just a little bit after the strips. And then I'm going to press Control End. That sets the end frame here. You can also come down here and then copy this by pressing Control C and then pasting it in the end. Control V to paste that. Okay, and I noticed that my audio waveform is not showing, so let's click that and let's go to Strip tab over here and then say Display Waveform. And then it'll take a while to load. It says Strip Previews, so it's loading those now. There we go. Okay, finally. All right, and then I'm just going to save this again here. Another way you can add the waveform displaying automatically is this here. If you just say if you want all waveforms on or all waveforms always off, you can just click one of those. This use strip option means that it's per strip. So if you have a lot of audio clips that you want to add in or several different movies with different audio and you don't want to have to click that button every time, it's probably a good idea to just say waveforms on, which is what I'm going to do. Okay, so the editing on this is actually very simple. It's just making the cuts where you need to. So I'm not going to be doing anything fancy, just going to be cutting things and overlaying them on top of each other just to make sure that I get a smooth transition. So that's really all it is. And you can do this in any video editing software. It doesn't have to be in Blender. So let's come over here. And I notice it's going a little bit too slow still. And that is because we haven't changed our viewport to render in 25%. So hover your mouse over here, press N as in November, come over to proxy render size and change that to 25%. And then let's just click our movie strip and come over here to our proxy and just make sure that this is a 25% and then 25% in here. Okay, I'm going to save it as another iteration again, and we're going to press Control R to refresh the sequencer. Okay, so now, so now it's going a lot more smoothly. So the reason I wanted to add the audio waveforms is to let that help be a guide to where I'm going to cut. So you can see I don't come on until right here, where you can see me yawning. And that's a fake yawn, by the way. So I'm gonna just maybe a few frames before that, and then I'm gonna select both of these here and press K to cut. Now if I press K to cut and my mouse is hovering over the left side of the playhead, these will be selected, and then you can press X to delete. If my mouse is over on the right side, the right side is going to be selected. So just make sure you are aware of that. All right, so when I play this, what? That's loud. All right, turn that down here. Okay.
What? It's already 5 o'clock. I gotta go. I gotta get dressed.
Oops. Okay, so right away I noticed that the audio and video are not in sync. So to fix that, let's come over here to playback. Up at the top where it says no sync, go to AV sync. Go. I'm going to press Control R to refresh that, and let's start back over here.
What? It's already 5 o'clock. I gotta go. I gotta get dressed.
There we go. Okay. And I do this a couple of times. And that's just so that I can have options for blending. If one shot is not really good to work with, I could maybe blend it over another shot. I didn't actually have to do that. So I don't really need these extra shots. So I'm just going to cut it right here where I flap it down, and I'm going to find a good spot. I think right here. I'm going to cut it. So let's select both of these, press K to cut. All right, and let's press play. Okay, so I know all of these flaps, that's going to be all cut out. So I'm going to select these two handles. I'm going to select the first handle up here, shift select this handle, then middle mouse to pan. And I know this is where I'm talking with my friend here because she's helping place those markers. And you can see it there. You can see them, the markers right there. And then I take off the pajama pants. And then I put on the jeans backwards. And then my friend comes over and helps take out the markers. Where'd she go? Yep, there she goes. And then I come over here. So this is where I want to come back in. So I'm going to find a spot that's kind of going with the follow through. So just going to kind of, I'm using my right mouse arrow, or no, sorry, my right keyboard arrow. So maybe right here, it looks like that's good. So I already have the handle selected, so I'm just going to press Shift S to snap. So if I zoom out, so this handles were used basically to trim all of that video footage out. Okay, so I'm going to select the movie strip, shift select the audio strip, press G, and then move my mouse. And as I move my mouse, I can press Control, and it will snap to the nearest handles of the other strips. Then I click to release, and then let's zoom in here, and let's see what that looks like together here. All right, that's actually not looking too bad. Now, it's a little choppy right at the cut for the cache purposes. Press Control R to refresh that, and you can see that cache down here goes away. And let's just cache that in. So I'm just gonna right arrow over that cut to just kind of cache that in a little bit. And then let's come over here and then press play again. And that's actually really good. Actually, I think that's better than the first video that I made. Yeah, so let's watch that again here. Yeah, I like that. That's a lot more smooth, in my opinion. We're going to keep it like that. But so what I did for the sound, though, on mine, so you can kind of hear. I mean, that's actually not too bad either with the sound. But I'll show you what I did. I don't like these two because it kind of cut here with the sound. So what I did is we're going to select both of these by shift clicking those. Press Shift D to duplicate, and then just press Y so it constrains it up and down, and then move it down one. And then I'm going to put my cursor here. Strip selected, I'm going to press K to cut, and then delete this side. And then over here on this side, select only this one, press K to cut, and again my mouse cursor is on this side, so this one is selected. Press X to erase strips, and then select erase strips. And now I'm going to kind of position these a little bit here. All right, let's see what that sounds like here. Yeah, so it's a little bit more smooth of a sound.
go. There we go.
All right. So yeah, I like that. Now we can play around with it too. We can hide this one just to see what that sounds like. And in that case, we'll have to probably bring this out over here. All right, and then let's hide that one. H is to hide, by the way, and Alt H is to unhide. So we've got this one. Oh, I need to cache that in again. Okay, so I don't like that because you don't have that flapping sound. So let's try that again. I want to see, hide this one, H, and then Alt H to unhide this one. You know what? I like that. I don't like the huh. So I'm gonna leave this one out. So I'm just gonna save this as another iteration, and then we're just gonna get rid of that one. There we go. All right, so let's see what we've got again here, just to make sure we like that. All right, cached in and play.
There we go.
Nice. Okay. So now, of course, now we just have to play through the cheesy acting here. Okay, so this is where I twist. Whoosh. Okay, you can see obviously that's just me doing that. So I did this several times to get, again, a blend mode that I liked. And I can't remember exactly which one I used. So I'm going to cut it here. Select both of these and cut. Oops. And then come over to, so again, I did the same thing with the markers. So I had my friend come over and mark my feet, and then change the pants to the right, I say right side up, to front ways, to the correct way. Oh, and I did a little twist. You can see I twisted my shirt a little bit to give it the illusion that I was twisting for real. Okay. Okay, and then after my feet were aligned up, so you can see me kind of lining my feet there. Then my friend takes out the markers, and then I do this several times. So again, to have something more to work with. So let's see if we can get this one better than I had it in the original too. So where's my first twist here? Let's go here. So I'm gonna select these again. I'm gonna just K to cut, and then we're just gonna delete all of this in here. I'm gonna drag select those, and press G to grab, and then Control to snap those too. Whoa, okay. By the way, if that ever happens, you get out in no man's land like this, just press 0. You can also press home. Okay, let's go to our cut. Let's try the first one over here. The first cut, or the first twist. So this is like the beginning or the middle of the first twist there. And I'm gonna select my handles and press Shift S to snap those handles there. And what you can do now is press backspace, and that's going to clear this gap. Go. And then let's see what we have here. Let's line this up a little bit more. So right when he's in the middle of that, we're going to select these, Shift S to snap those, move our playhead back and press backspace. And then we have something that looks like this. Okay, so that's a kind of a big jump there. Because I have my hands, I was pretending to move there, so my hands kind of jump. Maybe what I can do is, if I press and hold Shift and then right click on this strip, and I keep going, it's going to keep showing me that strip without cutting to the next one. So let's cut right, maybe a little bit when my hands are a little bit over here. Okay, so let's select these, grab those, move those out of the way for now. Select these, and then Shift S to snap those, and then Shift S to snap those. That's not necessarily the best way you can do it. I'm going to do Control R to refresh our cache again, and then let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's not too bad. We got that cached in a little bit. Let's see it in real time. Okay. Yeah, gonna have to do a little bit of work on that. So here's a tip that you can do if you wanted to grab these and move them a little bit over. You can extend these ones out a little bit. And then make the top one, just select the movie strip and come over to your strip tab, and then where it says opacity, that's going to be under adjust and then compositing. Your opacity, just move that down a little bit. Okay, and that's going to show nothing underneath because we need to change our blend mode, which is right above it, to alpha over. And then, oh yeah, well, and we also have to have our playhead over the other footage. So there we go. So now we can kind of align these two, which actually that might look all right. So let's bring that opacity all the way back up. Oh, actually, okay, let's cache that in. Ah, that's not too bad. Actually, that's pretty cool. And it looks like I'm kind of going at super light speed though. What I could do is just render this part by itself and then check to see what it looks like in a rendered mode. But this is not very long video, so I'm not going to do that. And that looks good. So let's click and drag to select all of them. Actually, I lied. Let's click and shift click for the first two strips here. Press shift left arrow to go all the way to frame 1, and then with these still selected, shift S to snap those. And now we can press backspace to clear those gaps. Now, that's not going to work exactly like we want it to, so let's select the inverse of what we already have selected. So we're going to select everything else by pressing Control I, and then G, and then we're going to press and hold Control as we move those in to snap those all the way to the ends of those strips, if that makes sense. Hopefully you followed along. And then at the end here, I'm going to end this at 40, and then plus 01, which is frame 960. And you can change the view of that if you do show seconds, and you can do this by hitting Control T as well. We'll toggle between seconds and frames. So on frame 960, I'm going to end that here by Control End, making that our end frame. And now if I press play.
What? It's already 5 o'clock. I gotta go. I gotta get dressed. There we go. What? Oh, I put them on backwards. Oh well.
Oh. Oh yeah. Well, so I forgot. One problem is that even though this looks really good here, I need to also now blend it with the very last one because that's when I come back out. So once I'm coming back around, we're gonna have to blend that in here too. So let's cut that, and then let's see, right about here. Actually, before I cut this, we're just gonna bring this up and over that. You know, at this point, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna hide these. Select those, press H. We're gonna just probably use this footage instead. which is what I think I did. So, okay, so let's extend this out again here. And make this one a little transparent. Basically, you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just uh, putting one strip over the other one, lowering the opacity, kind of trying to line it up with the motion. See if I can get the best positioning. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's a little bit better. Yeah. So this is going to be good here. So let's save that, save as another iteration, and then delete these. And the reason I save in iterations is because if I royally screw something up or I realize, oh, I don't want to delete that, but I can't go and do like enough undos to get that back, then I can just go to the previous iteration, start from there. Okay, so I want this to be here. Let's mess with the sound now. So let's bring these down. I'm going to press G and then Y to constrain it up and down so it doesn't move from left to right. And then I'm going to, let's see, what else here? Let's see. It's not perfect. So I'm just going to take these handles and move those one over. Control R. Okay. Ooh, actually that may do the trick. Yes, haha, finally, I got it. So there we go. Okay, that's good enough. I like this now. Okay, and that was the last one. So
There, that's better. Okay, gotta go.
and then my friend's like, "You need shoes." I'm like, yeah, I don't care about that. That's not the point of this video. So, okay. So then right here, I just want to stop that here, of course. So I'm just going to press K to cut and X to delete those. And now let's stop our little thing here at 600. So 600, control end to end, save, and another iteration, and boom, let's press home to frame everything, scroll out just a little bit. Shift left arrow to go back to the beginning, and let's see what we have. I'm going to press Control R to refresh that cache, and there we go.
What? It's already 5 o'clock. I gotta go. I gotta get dressed. There we go. What? Oh, I put them on backwards. Oh well. There, that's better. Okay, gotta go.
Okay, so now you notice that once it got to the cuts, at least on my computer, it skipped a couple frames. A good way to deal with that, actually a couple, you could, let's do Control R, you could come over here and cache them in like we did. And just kind of smooth over that and then go back and play. And you can do that for both cuts that we have. And by the way, I didn't do anything with this cut here like we did here. I could smooth it out. I could smooth that that sound out too, but I don't really need to because I mean it seems to overlap just fine. I mean what I could do possibly is so that we don't have two videos really overlaying each other, I could grab that and snap that there, and then just bring this back a little bit here. So I could do that. But for the most part, everything is, I think, good enough. So anyway, back to the caching. An easier way, or I think maybe a faster way to do the caching part is press Control R to refresh that, and then just press your page up and page down buttons. So page down is going to go to your left, and page up is going to go to the right. And as you page up, it's going, and page down, it's going to go to the next handlebar. So let's just, to demonstrate this a little bit closer here, Control R to refresh, and then I'm just going to page down. And as I page down, you can see that it automatically caches those in. So with just that frame cached in. Where the cut is, it's going to allow a lot smoother of playback. So I just have to make sure I do that for every cut. Now I go to the beginning and then play through, and it should play through
What?
relatively more
It's already
smoothly.
5 o'clock. I gotta go. I gotta get dressed.
Yeah,
Ah,
it did
there
stop
we
at
go.
the other at one of
Whoa.
the cuts, but
I
for the
put them
most
on
part it
backwards.
works.
Oh well. Ah,
Well, it didn't work
ah,
for that either. I don't know, maybe it's the type of video that I'm using or what. But
ah.
anyway, there you go. That's it. And now you render it. So basically, you come over here to your render options, your output properties, set your resolution, set your frame rate, set your output. Double forward slash means the same folder as your blend file is in. I like to then make another folder just by typing renders here, and then another forward slash, which is your render, which is your folder, and then I type in the name of the blend file that I'm currently on. So I'm going to type pants underscore rec underscore 0107 underscore, and I use the last underscore to separate the frames, because when you click file extensions, which I'm going to do here, um, it'll add the frame range and then the file extension. And so if you don't have any separator, it's going to just smash those numbers up against your file name. So I'm going to uncheck overwrite. File format, I'm going to change that to FFmpeg video, RGB for color, black and white if you want it in black and white. Then encoding, this is where we choose the file type. I like to do H.264. Oh, sorry, I missed the container. I like to do MP4, MPEG-4, H.264, medium quality, good, and then you can leave the keyframe interval, everything else at the defaults. Now, make sure you do change the audio, because by default there is no audio. I like to do MP3, and then the default MP3 is fine. So there we go. And then I'm just going to save that. And then the last thing I'm going to do, this little gap here, I'm just going to add a color, because I like to not have just nothing there. So I'm just going to Shift A to add in a color, and then grab and move that up. And there we go. So I'm going to save that again. We have everything set up that we like we want it to. So come up over here to render, and then render animation. But actually, before I do that, just select random a random frame, okay? And then either come up here to render and then render image, or hit F12. And if you do that, you'll probably see a separate window that comes up with the render, but I've actually changed my render settings. So if you go to Edit Preferences and then come over to under Interface, Temporary Windows down here, and that's under Editors, Render In, and I chose Keep User Interface. You can choose Image Editor or a new window. It's up to you. If you keep user interface, nothing is going to happen. And then what you're going to want to do is come over to the rendering tab, and then this is the frame that you've rendered. And so I do that with several of them here, just to make sure we render, so F12, or what frame we're on, it renders properly. So that is. So I just do a couple of those throughout the whole scene. So let's do this one here, F12, go over to render. Yes, that is rendering just fine. Okay, so yeah, now again we have everything set up like we want. So let's press Control F12, and we will render out our animation, which is the whole frame range. And you can come back over here to video editing to see where we are. Now, what we can do here is go to rendering, and then come up here, bring this up, and change this to the video sequencer, and then we can see our footage. We can just press home again here, scroll out, and just adjust that. And we can see kind of where we're at here. And then this is our final render here. All right, so this is at 4% now. It's going to take about 17, 18 minutes, and we will be back to see the final video when it's done. All right, it's done rendering, and here is the final video.
What? It's already 5 o'clock. I gotta go. I gotta get dressed.
But that is it. If you want to do something like that yourself, that it would be how to do it. And if you do create something and you upload it to YouTube, please send me the link so that I can take a look at it and see what you've got, because I would be excited to see what other people do with this. All right, well, until then, happy editing, and you'll see me later.